Experiment, Innovate, Accelerate. You're listening to UNDP, North Macedonia Accelerator Lab podcast.
Hello, everyone. Today we are here for the next episode of our podcast, Experiment, Innovate, Accelerator, UNDP North Macedonia Accelerator Lab podcasts. I would like to warmly welcome our two friends and colleagues. And today, jointly with Ljubica and Besian, we'll be discussing on design, cities, architecture, and how the experience of design within the cities goes through a lens of architecture. Thank you very much for joining us. Few words for Ljubica and Besian to present themselves.
Thank you for inviting us. Thanks to the Accelerator Lab for involving us in all the activities and today's podcast. My name is Ljubica Teofilska, project manager at UNDP, working on resilience in city of Skopje, and an architect. I would give the floor to Besian, my colleague and a friend.
Thank you. Well, my name is Besian Mehmeti. I'm an architect, and I lead a design studio, or we want to call it a hub, a design hub. I lead a group of 10 individuals, creative architects who are willing to explore new possibilities in the field of architecture, design, and urbanism.
That's very good, because when we were discussing about bringing us this topic, these discussions, we were brainstorming within colleagues at the office, like who could be a great contribution to the discussion. And we were looking at what's going on in the ecosystem. So we want to really have some insights from you, both on how these processes are taking place within yourselves first, because it's a creative process, but it's also a process where you are actually tailoring the experience of others who are engaging with your designs, who are engaging with your products, who are engaging with the environments that you both create. Just as a starter of the conversation, I would like to point out first and foremost the first question: what does designing process or designing cities mean to you? What can you tell us about this process, your experience, insights, perhaps some examples?
Well, I will start. In this era where half of the population lives in urban centers, and also 2.5 billion likely to live by 2050 in the urban areas, we should rethink the process how we design the cities in future. It's very important to manifest the future designs in a way and develop societies in a way to be more environmentally friendly, sustainable, and also to bring good quality to the cities and the life in the cities. What this means to us as architects and also as part of the development programs and processes, it's to see how we see the cities in future, how are the cities we want to live in, and also what kind of a life and environment we will leave to the future generations to live in. So we need to design cities that will be more human-centered and human-centered, healthy, safe cities, and
safe environments.
Safe environments, and for the people to have good quality of life.
Thank you. And for you, Besian, what does this mean to you?
I agree that while designing cities, in general, we have to make our environments more friendly for the people that live there. And on the other side, it is this process of designing urban spaces and or shall I say, enriching these urban spaces is a is a process that takes a lot of stakeholders into consideration. Now, working with all these conditions, with all these, like I said, stakeholders is quite challenging. But on the other side, it's also interesting, and for us as architects and designers, gives us a possibility to come up with solutions that, in a way, foster this idea of making cities a nice and livable spaces. Now, usually, I mean, in some cases, it comes that. I mean, people would think that they have to give something from themselves in order to make their environment better. But it is. I mean, there are a lot of cases where it's the other way around. I mean, making, let's say, a part of the city car-free is something that almost all people would benefit. And while talking about cars and bikes, I came to an interesting data that for every kilometer that a biker would ride, the whole economy of a country would gain $1, whereas by every kilometer a car drives, the economy would lose 25 cents, if I'm not wrong. So this is all connected to, of course, the investments you have to make into the road and system, and of course, in the health system is also affected in this way. So, yeah, it's I would definitely say it's a really broad process, but something that we as architects have a lot to put forward.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, there are very small things that really can change big processes behind something as simple as riding your bike or driving your car. What does that mean also for the environment? Indeed, these are one of these interesting aspects that we have in mind when we work, but also we have to really be able to communicate to larger audience about these small things. Indeed, I perceive myself as the process of designing and the process of creation as being really a storm, and then right after this storm, getting the best what we could have. I bet it's a very different process when you design something from scratch and when you design something that already there is something in place and you all have the cramps, so to say, on how you could elevate and how you can improve and how you can really accelerate this into the work and the experience of people. I mean, how design can change people's lives. We know that by a small product, our habits changed, and that's very obvious with one cell phone, which became almost like an extended part of ourselves. And we have the phone, we have the email, we have the camera, we have the calendar, we have a navigation tool, all through the phone. So how that design can change people's life when you change their environment they live and work in.
Look, starting from our private environments, it can definitely change for the good the lives of people. I mean, a well thought and organized and well designed environment can absolutely give you a more positive feeling of whatever you do. It's the same with designing the on a larger scale, the designing a city or a part of the city or an urban development. So it can, definitely it can change, and it can change for the good, and that's what our duty as designers is. I mean, it's a bit also in a way in our studio in BMA we have this this idea that working in public projects is sort of a social responsibility thing to, in a way, not only not only make the urban life, work for the better of the urban life, but also in a way show how designing cities or designing public buildings can change the life for the good.
Just a follow-up question on this. I know about the school you designed in the city of Skopje, and you got an award of it. So could you please tell a bit about how that process went, and like what was your background on the project when you took?
Well, this was an open competition. It was back in 2013, and in a way, a lot of architecture studios took part in this competition. It was, of course, an interesting one because you would the brief was to design the school of the future, and what we did was to incorporate the greenery that was part of the plot with the new building that we were going to build there. So, in a way, our initial idea was to make the school in a way blend this greenery, the nature, with the school. So, you would find a lot of open spaces and atriums and also glazed facades that would in a way bring the greenery or the nature inside the building. And having in mind that this would be a school, a building that would be used by the younger ones, that would lead our society in the future, and to in a way inspire them was really inspirational for us while thinking about the project. So this notion of inspiring people was really evident in this project.
A drive, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. For you, Ljubica, how design can change people's life? We know you have been actively working with City of Skopje in various initiatives. Could you please translate a bit of that experience, how that goes, and how is to work with this?
I would say that, as Besian said, we should focus more on designing spaces for the people. Actually, to prioritize the people in the process, but also and the environment. So people should coexist in this with the environment and the nature in the city. To have more public spaces, then the built environment, actually the built infrastructure. We know that the cities nowadays are far from utopia cities, and we will never reach that point. We can only talk about having utopia cities where we coexist, but the fast urbanization and the fast growth of the cities and the population density is a challenge that needs to be addressed. So now cities that we have that are already influenced by this need to be redesigned in a way to make them more people friendly and environment friendly. In our work we try to put more sustainable architecture and more public spaces that will be greened and put more greenery within the city. So we try to leave no one behind, including the biodiversity in the city. And we try to make cities that will be more inclusive.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. I mean, indeed, there are so many entry points to this ecosystem that it's unbelievable rich and unbelievable in terms of its pace, because everything, it moves so quickly, it changes so quickly. We have to be very observant of the environment throughout these processes. So talking of which, I would like to ask two of you, for a particular design solution that inspired you. It could be something from the city, it could be something from outside, just something that you really found inspiring. I have my own examples, of course, but I would like to hear yours.
Well, there are countless, examples around the world where bringing nature within the urban environment is the way forward, I think. I was lucky enough a while ago to visit New York and see to visit a lot of these interventions there, particularly the High Line, which in a way is, they managed to transform an abandoned infrastructure project and turn it into a park which is basically elevated above the
ground,
busy streets of New York. The vibe and the energy that this intervention within the city has brought to that particular part of New York is absolutely, adorable. Through our projects with the BMA, we've in a way tried to do basically to inject these, of course, not only the public projects, but also in a few private projects, to inject these the nature within the urban environment. So I wouldn't go further to mention more projects, but definitely High Line is one of them.
Ljubica, what is an inspiration? What is a solution that you found inspirational for you?
Well, what we do as UNDP, it's an inspiration by itself. We did a lot of projects where we try to solve some of the climate change challenges nowadays and to solve the urban heat islands within the city of Skopje. We did 2 green roofs as an intervention that are by itself. It's not only we solved this urban heat islands challenge, but we also address the social aspect. So these are the spaces that were very much visited by the citizens of Skopje. So I would say interventions like that, where we incorporate the environmental aspect with the building aspect, it's a very good solution, and it's one of the examples that should be part of the future planning of the city.
Thank you. I mean, when we are looking at this ecosystem, one thing is having a sustainable solution that would turn to the benefit of the environment, but the other one is having a sustainable solution that would create social interaction. And I think we have a few good examples about that one around the city, especially with the green rooftops, and we have some of the other elements that we are actually trying to regain back, the green areas, in order to restore, especially important for the times when we are more willing to spend time on open air rather than closed spaces. I believe there is a lot that can be done further to enhance this, and the challenges are those that are coming with the urbanization and with this rapid growth, especially in larger cities, and then we have to really adapt that. For what I found for me was inspirational is the urban gardening, because when I first saw the example, some years ago in Japan, I was like, oh, these are so future thinking that never would be the case for us. But as the COVID-19 pandemics hit, we have urban gardeners happening all over the world, and it's becoming more and more reality. I think I like the idea of growing my own vegetables in the balcony of the apartment, but also I like the idea of having this urban garden for the whole apartment on the rooftop. And I think that's something that I find it a very good way to foster a community in a building, especially with your neighbors, but also sharing the responsibility of growing something together, which is a common good for the whole building, but also bearing in mind that you are not the only one in the ecosystem. There are other people. And sometimes it's very important what Besian earlier said, recognizing the stakeholders in the process and working with those stakeholders and bringing everybody on board, and the importance of co-design and making sure that when we design, we don't design for a certain group of people, but we design for everybody.
For the whole
And
community.
also for the biodiversity, to bring the biodiversity within the city.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of the highlights for me with COVID pandemics was that, okay, what have we done and what can we restore? And I think that was like an awakening call, especially for those who are living in apartments, who didn't have the luxury to go out in their gardens, like for the lockdowns. And I think that's some of the main learnings that came through us and through the process. And I believe that that's something that I realized now. What can we do more? Yeah. When thinking about city of Skopje, because we all are part of this ecosystem, living and working in this city, I would like to ask you, if you were to design a solution right now for city of Skopje, what would it be?
It would be probably several solutions. It would be, if I have to prioritize, it would be to have new sustainable transportation plan and new efficient transportation for city of Skopje. I think it will help solve some of the climate change challenges and the air pollution within the city. Also, I would redesign the existing abundant public spaces within the city to make them more attractive to the citizens and more green and more livable space. And also, I would implement one of the designs that we did with Gale architects from Denmark for redesign of the central area within the city of Skopje to make it more car-free and a people-friendly environment, pedestrian-friendly and bicycle-friendly environment. So I would implement one of I will read that project as one of the solutions for the city of Skopje. And also I would replicate that project within other municipalities within the city of Skopje.
That sounds like a solid plan. Looking forward,
Yes,
what would come next? Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And Bestian, what would that be for you?
Well, looking from the bright side, we have some nice examples within our city of how these spaces have been treated. So perhaps there are a few points or a few dots if you see the city as a map. So what I would do is to multiply this in a way, use this method of acupuncture, right? Yeah. And extend it not only within the city center, but in all of the city. And so later, I mean, the next phase would be to find a way to network them or to connect these these spaces, and that would definitely need a new way of using the infrastructure that we have. Of course, the mobility, we mentioned the mobility here would be a something that we definitely need to think of, and think of making the city people friendly and use less cars. This interesting project that Ljubica mentioned, not only within the city center, but also extended throughout the whole city, the whole urban area of the city.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because those who know me, they know that I talk about mobility, transportation, and urban transportation. It's very nice to see that I have like-minded people around me. Instead of me pinning out, you are just pointing out. That's also a very relieving moment, because I know that when majority of people share the vision and share ideas on the same level, it becomes even faster reality. So I'm looking forward for that. I mean, we have been experiencing the city over the past few years, designing around cars, around traffic, designing around using our own vehicles rather than designing around people. So I'm looking forward to new thinking. I'm looking forward to new ways of design when we have the people in the center rather than the traffics or the buildings. So that would be a bit of a fresh breath to the city, and hopefully we will do have a positive impact on the environment that we are living. I would like to thank you very much for your conversation, sharing your thoughts with us. And before ending up, are there any final thoughts that are coming to your head that could be an interesting highlight?
The pleasure is on our side to be here with you, Ardita, as a colleague from the Accelerator Lab, and with Besian, a colleague and a friend also. I would like to thank the Accelerator Lab for this podcast and for the work that you do within UNDP, North Macedonia. And also I would like to mention that I'm so proud of general the work of UNDP, what we do in terms of resilience in city of Skopje, in terms of redesigning, reshaping this city to be more environmentally friendly, people friendly, and to leave no one behind. So thank you again, Ardita. It was a pleasure to be part of this podcast.
Pleasure of mine. Besian, and for you?
It was great for me to have the opportunity to discuss these issues with great minds in this table, and to see what the possibilities are there. I mean, the fact that we are a small place, a small country compared to, let's say, I don't know, I mentioned New York or Mexico City, gives us the opportunity to, in a way, be more flexible and
use the advantage of the size. I think to our work, because a large size means larger problems. A small size means less problems. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point that we all should have in mind, that as a size-wise, we are in an advantage, and then we can think and change things faster. That's a great way to end this discussion. I'm looking forward to have more and more conversations with you. Perhaps we will have another one on similar topics and discussions, but also looking forward for new ideas in the upcoming period that we can all work together and make this become a reality. Thank you once again from my behalf, also on the behalf of the UNDP North Macedonia Accelerator Lab, and talk to you very soon.
Thank you.